Welcome to Office Adda247. My name is Bhatnagar. Now I'm with you with the era of AFM. I hope you have been reviewing the courses yet, everyone. I hope you have already seen. Recently, I conducted a special 32-hour special classes were going on now. So I conducted a session on the specific topic of AFM, and in that particular session I have taken over roughly, I believe, a good number of questions, or more than 50 questions are there in that particular session that I took. And it was a session on specific module A and module B. I kept that particular part thinking about that many of you had been working upon these two, especially the ones who were in the paid classes as well. So everybody, I hope you had been reviewing the video, and if you like the particular video, then please go ahead and click on the like button in that particular session. Along with this, please go ahead and check out the specific playlist of this entire AFM series, where I've covered multiple chapters. So please make sure that you are utilizing this particular precious time towards your studies in the best way possible. Okay, everyone, now moving on, what are we going to do today? As you already know, we are done with module A completely, module B completely, module C completely. Now we are left with only one thing, that is module D. And module D has just started. We finished the first class with DT, that is direct tax. Then I'm moving on towards the second chapter, that is the second chapter of the module D, that is goods and service tax. Acha, what's the difference between direct tax and indirect tax? But direct tax is specifically a tax which is related to the area of whatever you earn, you pay tax on whatever your earnings are, right? The problem arises when we opt for goods and service tax. This is where I went to Domino's to have a pizza. So as soon as I went there to have a pizza, what has happened, everyone? They gave me the pizza, but they charged a certain amount. What was that certain amount that they asked me? They charged me a certain amount, say they charged me an amount of $6.99 for the pizza. The $6.99, the price of the pizza was maybe say 500, and the remaining 199 they connected in the name of GST. Now this GST is levied on Domino's, but it is being collected from me, isn't it? The price and the one who's buying it are two different people there, isn't it? It is that way. So when we are looking forward towards this scenario, this is not something which the organization should be looking forward to, isn't it? But then the point is, GST was introduced in 2017. First of this was an exceptional case which started on 1st of July 2017. Basically, what they did is first 3 months were for the transition period, and then they opted for the GST on 1st of July 2017. That's how this particular plan came into being. Now, when we talk about goods and service tax, it is basically a tax which is an indirect tax. Why do we call it an indirect tax? Levied and paid. Levied on Domino's, paid by Domino's, but collected from customer. Difference? When we talk about the area of direct tax, I earn my salary, I pay tax on the salary that I receive. So isn't this a case that we are looking forward towards an organization where it is levied on someone else, but the payment of it is recovered from someone else, isn't it? Done? Now let's move on and talk about the next point. let's move on towards the questions. Acha, the questions are this. The first is what is the probability of tax evasion considered lower in case of indirect taxes? See, indirect taxes, I earn money, obviously, then in that case it becomes a little difficult for the entire organization to work in a certain manner. You know, matlab, what happens is the probability, if I buy something, then obviously it becomes very, very difficult towards the entire payment of the amount, because selling of that particular thing is done in a certain way. You know, for example, I sold a good, and that particular good is basically um, mm, sold by someone, but they will definitely collect the particular amount from me itself. You know, indirect taxes are paid directly by the end customer. We don't pay that particular amount. We are paying it through someone. You know, there's a difference. That means indirect taxes are collected by the government without any intermediary. No, government doesn't collect it. Who collects it, everyone? Indirect taxes involve multiple levels of collection, making evasion more difficult. Yeah, it has definitely made evasion more difficult, but what exactly helps them? Indirect taxes are only imposed on high individual incomes. No, no. This is basically a regressive tax. Why do we call it regressive tax, everyone? For example, if I levy 5% of GST on the medicines. Now that medicine is being bought by rich, by poor, and by middle class as well. For a poor, 10 rupees is a huge amount. For a middle class, it's okay amount. But for rich, it's the negligible amount. So all these people are paying 10. In this case, what's happening, everyone? The trouble isn't going away, isn't it? In this case, what's happening is indirect taxes involve multiple levels of taxation. Since they involve multiple levels of taxation, who's going to do that specific work of putting in effort? If one party disagrees in terms of making any kind of fraudulent work, then the entire chain would be exposed at whosoever were involved. So that is something that makes GST a little more troublesome in terms of the working, and it is collected by someone else, and is on the burden is on someone else. And remember, if the GST is not collected, yes, there are penalties on that. But if GST is imposed and you collect it, but you do not pay to the government, this is where the government can take away everything from that particular organization. There can be GST cancellation, they can be blacklisted, they can face even jail when they are doing all these gruesome and, I would say, very serious or grave offenses, which are sometimes leading to the fact that they can turn into non-bailable offenses as well. That's the particular part of these kind of scenarios. Acha, now let's talk about the particular next question. Okay. The next question is related to the area of what significant change in the taxation system occurred on July 1, 2007. Introduction of income tax. No, income tax was introduced in 1961, everyone. Then implementation of GST, then abolishment of all forms of taxes, or we can say increase in the corporate taxes. Matlab, I would say these 2 financial years were really hard on India. The previous financial year, when on 8th of November, India had shared the news of demonetization, that was the wrong point. And then while the particular economy was dwindling, there was an introduction of GST as well. These were at that point of time really big decisions, and these decisions definitely had an impact on the stability of the government. But I would say over the period of time, we have actually accepted these things, and the changes have brought somewhat adaptability towards the entire country further as well. So technically, when we talk about any specific taxation system, any specific working that we introduce, it may or may not be very easy on the organizations. The implementation was related to the area of GST, goods and service tax. Done. What is the key characteristics, everyone? of IDT. They are imposed on income and profits? No. When we talk about the area of they cannot be shifted to another person or entity, technically it is levied on someone else and paid by someone else. So that really doesn't work that way. They are paid directly to the government? No. They can be shifted to another person or entity. The answer is they can be. It is levied on someone else and definitely paid by someone else. है ना? Done? Next point. How are indirect taxes oriented in terms of their impact on savings and investments? Indirect taxes play a very important role. Indirect taxes reduce the savings and discourage investments. Indirect taxes enhance savings and encourage investments. Really, when we talk about direct tax are basically areas where they specify कि you put your money into so and so things and this will be turned into your tax savings. Fortunately or unfortunately, GST says no other thing. GST says that if you are involved in supply of goods and services, then you are supposed to pay GST on it. That's the particular simple thing they say. Indirect taxes have no impact on saving investments, and indirect taxes are not mentioned in relation to saving investment. Overall, these are indirect taxes. They talk about the consumption and their explanations to it. So technically, it reduces the savings. It's a regressive tax. A person who's rich, who is also giving the GST the same price. A person who's poor, he's also facing this burden of GST at the same time. है ना? So technically, things are the same. Who is required to file GST returns? Only persons with an aggregate turnover of more than 1.50 crores. Only person opting for composition schemes. Composition levy scheme is a scheme where they do not have to file their returns every month. They can go for the quarter. Every person registered under GST or only non-resident taxable person. GST returns are to be filed by every single person who is registered under GST. Okay? And you can reduce the number of returns based upon the kind of seller you are. Otherwise, returns are to be filed by everyone. The annual returns, the monthly and the quarterly, different returns are to be filed by the organizations to make sure there is no fraud being involved in it. Done? Next question. Which return form is required for a registered person with an aggregate turnover of more than 1.50 crore on a monthly basis? GSTR1, GST3B, and then we have GST4 or GSTR2. The answer here would be GSTR3B. Done? Now let's move on to the next question. Obviously, there are people who makes problems or makes payment in a delayed form, 10%, 12%, 15 or 18. What is the amount of interest that we charge from them? Because if they are late in terms of the payment, then the organizations have to be taught to listen. And then, in this case, the interest is levied as well. है ना? So what would be the answer, everyone? I believe in terms of this scenario, the answer is going to be 18%. In terms of the organization, it would charge the maximum from the people who are making mistakes. Right? Done? The answer is D, 18% per annum. The answer to the next question would be what? Why is registration process more challenging for banks under GST? Registration process is very challenging because for every state you have to get a separate registration. You're not gonna do it by PAN. It is based upon PAN plus the place of birth. That means if I want to buy something, then if I really want to do my business in a particular situation which is outside my uh, domicile limit, then what will I do? Basically with every state you have to really work upon it na. So when you have to work upon all the scenario, then the state in which the particular organization is working, है ना, that particular state becomes the state in which they have to file the return as well. So bankers are exempt from registration, they are not. Next is banks need to obtain separate registration for each time, each state. Then everyone, that is bankers need only a separate registration. Banks only in the centralized, they do not require centralized registration. For every single state, if your address is changing, then this is also changing. Done. So in this case, the correct answer A is going to be the thanks between banks need to obtain between certain registration for the each time. What would be the answer? The answer to this question is they need separate registration. Na? Done. So now let's move on towards the next question. How under GST, how much of the SENVAT credit? SENVAT is basically when you have paid a certain amount of GST, then the same is available in your outputs, in your input services as well as capital goods is required to be reserved. Is it? What would be the answer, everyone? GST ensures that indirect taxes and structures are uniform across the across the country, everyone. Done. Okay, now let's look at the answer, everyone. The answer to this question is in terms of SENVAT credit. It is basically similar to the ITC. You have paid the GST already on some other items, and when you are paying it, you are producing something and selling it. It can be set off. Done. 10, 25, 50, or 75? What would be the answer, everyone? 10, 25, 50, and 75. What would be the answer? 10, 25, 50, or 75? When we talk about the SENVAT credit, it is 50%. You get 50% of it. Okay? SENVAT is basically the credit which is available under central area, and this is related to the VAT. It was earlier related to the VAT, but on the VAT model only they created the GST, which is a challenge in terms of assessment and process under GST. Adjudication by a single authority, consistency in performance of different authorities, quick resolution of information or issues, and then impact of impact input tax credit utilization. Basically, this is also helpful because when the audits are going on, when the equity audits are going on, then at that point of time, all the books of the equity shareholders are opened in any case. That is why the people, in terms of the peanuts and in terms of the working overall, this can be adjusted, है ना? adjustment by a single authority. What is the challenge with GST assessment? In terms of the assessment, what happens is there's an adjudication or consistency in the opinions, and quick resolution of issues is basically, in the last one is the input tax credit utilization. That means whatever you tax you have already paid, you can get it used. Then the answer to this question is consistency. Always remember, it should be a consistent thing among different authorities. It should not be having a mismatch, otherwise we will not be able to compare any of our products with someone else. Okay, na? That is something which we definitely require. Okay everyone, before we proceed further, have you reviewed our courses yet? If you haven't, then please go ahead and check out our website www.adda247.com. Good evening everyone, welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Bhatnagar and I'm with you with the era of AFM. What are we going to talk about today? We are progressing towards almost the end of this particular series where we are on the module D and we are done with direct and indirect taxes. Today I'll be progressing towards the area of module D further. We are talking about the costing account. Cost accounting today, or it is also called costing. It is basically a specific area of accounting which deals with cost accounting is something which deals with one specific thing, that is the cost. Cost means the amount that you are spending on production. That is called cost of production. It is based upon that part. So let's move on and understand this part. We are talking about an overview of the cost and management accounting. Okay, here comes the first question, everyone. When we talk about the cost accounting, now in your syllabus, they cover the area of not only the basics of cost accounting, but they also talk about the area of the terminologies which are associated with it, even the SI units related to the particular area. We'll be talking about that as well. And management accounting. Achha, management accounting is where management takes decisions. When the management is taking decisions, what is management exactly doing? Management is exactly taking decisions regarding the allocation of the funds, whether the performance is going better or not, whether the organization is growing under their reign, I would say, or not. So then obviously this is the management accounting. That's all about the management accounting. So let's talk about the particular topic in detail. What was the initial perception of financial accounting when business were small and the markets were simple? When business was small and markets were simple, I think gone are those days now. Financial accounting was insufficient for decision making. Financial accounting was considered adequate for management decisions. Cost accounting was immediately recognized as essential. Industrial revolution had no interest on accounting practices. It is just not true. Accounting and they were badly affected by it. But yes, there was one particular part which was wrong. Financial accounting was insufficient. Not really. According to them, financial accounting was everything. Then financial accounting was considered adequate for management accounting. Actually, it was done. Whether the organization is making a profit or loss, this will determine whether the manager is good or not. So technically, the answer used to be B at that point of time. Cost accounting was just not recognized at all. And industrial revolution really didn't. They had a major impact on the essential practices of the organization, because cost of production, we had to calculate what amount are we spending on the cost, and then how are we making it work. You know? So that was financial accounting was considered adequate for management decisions. In what way cost accounting utilized during world wars? During the world wars, how was it recognized? To determine market prices, to decide the defense strategies, or setting the prices of the defense contracts, or none of the above. What is cost accounting? Trying to find out the actual cost of production, then this particular answer would be related to that particular part itself. Setting the prices for defense contracts, we had to choose the particular prices that we were choosing. Well, technically this particular thing is impacted by not only industrial revolution, but also the world wars had also impacted it. Many of the organizations grew during the period of world war, and many organizations died during the world war. That's one of the realities of this specific era. Okay, so the answer is C. Setting the prices for defense contracts, everyone. Next question, what is the primary objective of cost accounting? To maximize the objective profits, or to determine the market price, or to ascertain the cost of each product or service, or to simplify financial accounting processes? What would be the answer, everyone? What is the primary objective? It is not about maximizing the profit. They were very, very simple. You know, when we are talking about this specific area, to determine the market prices, not really. They were never worried about the market prices. They were worried about something else to ascertain the cost. That is the point, because financial accounting has nothing to do with cost. Financial accounting talks about only one thing, that is whether the organization is having a profit or facing a loss. That's financial accounting. Rest, there's nothing the financial accounting does. Okay? And now let's move on to the next point. To ascertain the cost, I need to find out what is the cost. Hannah? When we talk about this specific area of cost, it is very, very important that we know about the costing altogether. What does this mean, everyone? Before I want to sell something to you, I need to know what is the costing in terms of my books of accounts so that I can charge you with a good profit. Why would a business knowingly would go for losses? Isn't it? What does the cost accounting help decide regarding products? Assigning priorities, maximizing profits, reducing wastages, or all of the above? What does cost accounting help? Cost accounting helps in many things. It reduces the area of cost. Cost allocation is easier, so maximizing the profits is one of the effects that happen. It reduces wastages, obviously, because you're noting down the price of each and everything, even the losses. And then when you know these are the losses, then you just don't want to face those losses, isn't it? And the last one is assigning the priorities. Everyone, if I know one particular area, acha, there was a specific rule called 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is related to the area of 80% of the income comes from 20% of your stock, or 20% of the thing, right? That particular part, is related to this area only. Now this is called Pareto analysis. Just thinking about the name. The name is called Pareto. According to him, why don't we choose the particular areas where we can earn maximum? And if 20% determines our 80% income, that 20% is super important for us, isn't it? So it includes all of the above. Tanji, financial planning is a tool used in what? Where is it used, everyone? Okay. The financial planning is a tool of financial accounting, cost accounting, management accounting, or all of the above. When we talk about the financial planning, this is looking into the future and deciding what amount would be required at what point of time. When it's a futuristic approach, we relate it to all these areas. But we specifically talk about the management accounting, where they are going to use the money, the decision making, and everything is settled as per management accounting. The cost and accounting standards have been issued by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Indian Standards Organization, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, or Institute of Cost Accountant of India. The cost accounting standards, CS. Acha, SAS is very important when it comes to the production area. Why is it so important? If I don't know what would be the amount of profit that I can earn, How will I work further? If I really want to work further, I really need to know what is the uniformity in terms of the cost that is there, which is in the entire industry, not only in my specific area, but in the entire industry we'll find it. So in this case, the answer would be Institute of Cost Accountants of India, ICOI. Instead of CO, they write it as CO cost, because this is ICAI. These are very similar in terms of name, so that's why they had to change their name a little bit so that we can understand. The Institute of Cost Accountants of India, they gave the particular cost accounting standards. Okay, done. Acha, everybody, I hope you are liking these sessions. Please go ahead and like this particular session, because it is super duper important that we receive all that appreciation from your side. The little recognition that you give definitely takes a long way in our work there. So please, if you like this particular session, then share it among your peers. And one more thing, everyone, our sale is live. That means from today, actually I didn't start today, but we can review the particular courses. What you can do is, before I proceed further, just showing that part, you need to go on to our website, that is www.adda247.com. As soon as you will go to the website there, can you see, you can see JIB and CIB. In this area, go on to the area of JIB May 2024. You will find our JEET batch as well as Victory batch. These two batches have just started, so you can look forward to it. They would be starting from 6th of February, everyone. So, or you can take up the JB Mahapack as well. Mahapacks are the best things to happen, because under Mahapack you get the live batches, recorded classes, bilingual English medium, Maha marathon, mini marathons. Everything is included in it. The hard work involved in the Mahapack is way too much, and once you buy the Mahapack, you don't even have to pay single penny further. But the benefit is, it is for 12 months. Use the code Y541 and you will get 79, or here you can get 80% discount. You will get for 6298.95. Use 1% more if you are using our app. Use the coins and then you will get further discount. Okay, so that would be around this would be near about 62 rupees. Technically, if you really want to go ahead, then be very sure, and then go ahead with it, because ultimately this particular pack, once you buy, then you don't have to buy anything else. There are so many resources already added for you in this, right? So use the code Y541 and choose the particular area. Done, everybody? So we were at Institute of Cost Accountants of India. Done? Now moving on to the next question, everyone. What is the one of the advantages of cost accounting in decision making? Decision making during world wars, developing strategy for economic growth, determining the price of the goods and services, or none of the above. When we talk about the patriarchal side, then we can say decision making during world wars was very important. Developing strategies for the economic welfare is also very important. But determining the price of the goods and services. Now, this is the part which is to the area of advantages of cost. Done, everybody? So in this case, what's going to be the answer? In this case, since we're talking about cost accounting is very much sorted. It is there to determine the price, be it the product or the service. In India, which organization issues the cost accounting standards? Acha, we are done with this question. Is it ICAI, SEB, BRBI? It is ICOI. OAI, that is Institute of Cost Accountant of India. Done? Okay, now moving on to the next point. What is the main difference between financial accounting and cost accounting? Financial accounting and cost accounting, are they same? I really don't think so. They're totally different from each other. Financial accounting is all about money, money, money. And cost accounting is all about the cost, cost, cost. Right? They talk about cost cutting, they talk about other areas. Financial accounting is basically into the area of where you are learning for more and more um, decision making in monetary terms. So what is the main difference between the two? And everyone, financial accounting is voluntary, while cost accounting is statutory. No, financial accounting is never voluntary. Financial accounting focuses on internal transactions while cost accounting deals with external transactions. Financial accounting reveals profits and losses while cost accounting focuses on unit cost and profitability. Then is financial accounting emphasizes planning and control while cost accounting aims to meet statutory requirements. Since the cost accounting is totally related to the area of cost, financial accounting talks about only the profit and loss of the organization. So then the easier answer is answer number C. Done? Here comes the next question. What does cost accounting deal with in addition to uh, okay, let's look forward to what does the cost accounting deal with in addition to actual figures. It actually calculates the actual figures now, in terms of points and in terms of gauges the preciseness of these things happen. So external transactions, internal or budgetary control and estimates, or the last one is statutory compliance. No, when we talk about the cost accounting, then in this case, when we talk about the cost accounting deals with additional actual figure, it is actually budget control. We have an estimation. This is the amount that we can have in future, more or less, and then we make an estimate about it as well. You know? Now, what is the process of primary focus of management accounting? Measurement of external transactions, reporting to regulatory bodies, providing information to of for managerial decision making, or compliance with statutory requirements. Done. Done. When we talk about the management accounting, it deals with the decision making process now. When we talk about decision making, the allocation of the funds and everything is done through the management accounting. So providing information for managerial decision making, they can make the decision, but the routing of the particular process will go through them. Then everybody providing information for managerial decision. Done everybody. Now let's move on to the next question. According to CIMA, London, what is the purpose of information presented in the management accounting? No compliance followed, no statutory risks and parties, and then we talk about the area of safeguarding the assets and external stakeholders, reporting or compliance with tax authorities. Then what would be the answer? External stakeholder reporting or compliance with tax authoritarian? When we talk about the particular area of management accounting basically safeguards assets because allocation is done through it now. All the decision making and everything is given to the different people based upon this only. So this makes sure that we are safeguarding our assets and we are actually keeping our liabilities under check. So let's move on and talk about the next question. Which tool helps in determining the channel of distribution and pricing of products? Break even. Break even is basically if I put 10 rupees, I get the 10 rupees back, right? Then is it break-even analysis, marginal, or Stanford? That is standard as well as last is financial. What would be the answer? Break-even analysis basically means if you put 10 rupees, you get 10 rupees back. Marginal costing is a costing which is related to completely the variable cost. Standard costing has some standards which they set up in financial planning. As we just learned, it's basically a process where you are looking for the budgets which you're getting in future. The answer is financial planning, everyone. Bhatnagar, and I'm with you with the area of AFM. And what are we dealing with today? Everybody, we are reaching almost the end of the syllabus. We are currently dealing with Module D, another chapter. The name is Costing Methods. In the last class, we did the basics of the costing. That was the terminologies which are used in costing. Today, I'll be moving forward and talking about the various costing methods which are there. Before I proceed further, everyone, please go and share this particular session and don't forget to like it. And along with this, if you haven't been watching the entire playlist, then please go ahead and check it out. The playlist is super important for you because all the chapters of JIIB are covered in this particular series. So please go ahead and like it and show your appreciation, everyone. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? There are multiple costing methods and there are multiple MCQs that I've prepared for this particular purpose, specifically from the book itself. So let's understand the entire topic of costing methods from this point of view. Okay, here comes the first question, everyone. What does it mean? Or what does it say exactly? It says, what is costing and why is it so crucial for the business? Again, we're talking about the basics here. Isn't it? What is exactly the costing term and why is it crucial for a business organization? Because it's costing is a process of determining the revenue, costing is a process of determining the profit, costing is a process of determining the expenditure on production or service, or last is costing is a process of determining the market share, right? So in this case, what would be the answer? Okay. So when we talk about the costing, now costing is related to specifically the cost only. What is the production cost that we were looking forward to? So that means it is nothing to do with if you know about the cost only, then you will be able to add a part of your profit, and this is where you will be able to find the selling price. Isn't it? So in this case, can we say the cost of the production is related to this expenditure, be it service or be it production? The cost is determined not only for production of goods but also for the provision of services. Because if I'm providing a service, then also I'm incurring an expense now. It won't happen that since I'm incurring an expense, then it is only in terms of production. It is also there in terms of the services as well. No? Because for the service even you have to do a lot of work. If we talk about the banking is also a process. There are service charges being deducted from our bank account, and it is required because bank is providing so many services and they have a cost that they pay for it, be it in the form of equipment, be it in the form of their website maintenance, be it in the form of anything that you know about, you know Okay, in which industries is the unit or single output costing more suitable? Single or unit, matlab they are producing one particular thing only. There is a production of only and only one thing. Software development, automobile manufacturing, brick making, mining, sugar, cement, and healthcare. What's the answer, everyone? Software development is a customized process, so for that they use operating costing. Then automobile industry is basically where they produce things in lots. For example, they are producing Santro would be in a lot. Right now, if they would be producing Innova, then Innova's new models. Every year they're bringing up new models, so technically the old model is stopped and new model is created. So then automobile manufacturing has a similar point of view. Then brick making, mining, sugar and cement. This is where it would definitely be the same. In terms of sugar making, mining, the process remains the same, be it how many years would have gone by. And then we have the healthcare, everyone. In terms of healthcare, what's the answer? In terms of healthcare, we have it as it's operating costing because it's related to the service. There is no goods that we are providing. You know, we are not selling something. We are basically providing a service. Okay, next point. Brick making, mining, sugar and cement. Next point, everyone. Why is the periodicity of preparing a cost sheet under a single output or unit cost? Cost sheet is basically a specific costing proper statement is prepared, which is prepared quarterly, annually. Periodicity depends on the nature of the organization, costing objectives, or monthly. वैसे तो ना definitely every kind of information is prepared annually. ठीक है, everything is prepared normally annually. But in this case, when we are producing one particular good and it has a specific production life cycle, then it would be periodicity depends on the nature of the organization and costing objectives. Okay, done. Which of the following may or may not be included in the cost sheets, depending upon the management decision? Material cost, direct expenses, selling and distribution expenses, or labor cost? Which of the following may or may not include cost sheet, everyone? Selling and distribution expenses. This is not something which is related to the area of working because material cost, direct cost, labor cost, this is related to the cost of production. Anything which is related to the cost of production will be included in this. And that is selling and distribution expenses. What is the main aim of job costing in companies manufacturing products or rendering services against the specific orders or jobs? To standardize production process, to record all costs incurred for completing the job, or to adopt continuous production to minimize innovation in job execution. Job costing. But the job costing is basically a customized way. Why do we call it customized? This is my favorite example of job costing. I don't know why do I give it, but this is somehow my favorite example. If your organization is looking forward towards red colored chairs, that just sounds with the theme there. So then what you asked me that, ma'am, prepare 400 chairs for us. We need to put this into our organization. I said, okay, fine. Now what I'm doing is I'm preparing those red leather chairs for you. But some other organization has asked me for black chairs. So that means I have two different kinds of chairs to be produced in a certain period of time. If I've got a particular units to be produced for your organization is 400. So I will prepare those 400 chairs for your organization. Then that is job costing. Customization is there. For that, you will note down my your list of requirement for my production, the labor that charges, the raw material that you need, everything that you'll be writing out, and then you will be finding the total cost of it, and then you'll be quoting a price accordingly. You know, that is what you will do. So technically, in this case, in terms of job costing, what will you do? You are going to write down each and every element of your work in a separate manner, because you have to tell the other person that in your particular case and this is the amount that was spent. So do you really know how much I'm spending in terms of the costing as well as the work to keep yourself up to date, you know? So in this case the correct answer is to record all the costs incurred to complete a specific job. Done. And that too in terms of job card, it is all element wise. Done, everybody? Done. Achha, it's a request again, everyone. If you like this particular class, then please go ahead and like the particular session. Done. Let's move on to the next question. Here comes a specific question, everyone. The question says, what may be involved in the execution of specific job and job costing that is not typically part of continuous production? Achha, continuous production can be uh, the cement, sugar. The sugar is actually a seasonal product, so I won't say this is a continuous product, but cement is. And uh, but then I think when you are producing cement and all, it should be in the internal area. Bricks and all, they are not produced during the rainy season. So these are all the products which are produced, but they have their own pauses. So let's talk about some other thing. I produce soap in India. Lux soaps are still sold a lot. It is one of the specific soaps which are used a lot in the country. Had been producing the same soap. They're just encashing their product right now, isn't it? So that is a particular product which is prepared and sold. That is a standard system that is being used. So what may be involved in the execution of a specific job in job costing that is not typically part of continuous production? Standardized systems are a part of the continuous production. Standard procedures, again, their design and innovation. This is done in terms of job costing. Preparing red chairs for me is basic design and innovation for you. In stable processes, this is again stable thing. This is not included. So design and innovation is done in terms of making a specific lot, which is different from others, right? Then which is the one of the advantages of your job cost card? Increase in idle time, reduction in the cost control, clear and relevant performance of for management or complexity in job cost accounting. And okay, advantages of job cost: idle increase in idle increasing, that might be a disadvantage of anything, you know. Then reduction in the cost control. How can we reduce the cost control? By actually tapping every cost. Clear and relevant information for management or complexity in job accounting. Actually, in this case, we have all the information of that particular. If I'm preparing red chairs for you, you know, so let's take it. If I am doing this work for red chairs, I'll be having the chair. Okay, I'll be the components of the plastic, then the leather that I need, then the other components, the wheels and everything that would be added, and the sponge that would be put inside the particular chair. All these things would be determined, and that is how we will buy those things, you know. And then we know about the price of each and everything all together, and the labor charges, of course, and transportation. These are all the expenses that we are going to incur, and this would be the list that you are preparing. Can you see in this case what's happening? There is no complexity. Rather, you are making things clear and relevant. Okay, acha, this is how we'll be doing it, and then we can move forward. Isn't it more simple in this case? What does the job cost card record under material cost, everyone? Only direct material cost? Only indirect material cost? Requisition number, date amount, summary of the cost sheet. Material cost. That means it includes all the cost related to the material only. Direct material, everything else has to be included. Requisition number means if you have given the request, the date, the time, and even the amount, and even the units even. The number of units are also specified. Provided it is given to a specific department, na? So we'll be noting down that part as well. Hanji, done. Next question. In contract costing, what distinguishes it from the job costing? Nature of job, time taken to complete the job, size of the job, or use of job cost sheet, everyone. What's going to be the answer? Time taken to complete the job, size of the job, name of the job, or use of job cost sheet. Contract costing, what distinguishes it from job costing? Achha, contract costing is also a terminal costing, but there is one particular point where both of these are equal, and the point is terminal costing. Both of these costs actually terminates. If both these costs terminates, so nature of the job, time taken to complete the job, this is basically this is a common ground, because both the things, contract costing is basically when you are producing or into the construction of a specific area, or in terms of job costing, I give you customized work to do. So nature of job is not. Time taken is more in terms of contract costing and less in terms of job costing. That is one particular point, yes, where they actually vary. Size of the job, contract costing is much bigger, and same time I think use of job cost sheet, that is there in the job costing but not in the contract costing. For contract costing they have their own. Done. So what's going to be the answer? The answer here is time taken to complete the job. That's one of the major points. The contract costing is short term, while the other one is long term. Job costing is, contract costing is long term and job costing is short term. Done? Next question. In which industries is contract costing commonly applied? Retail, then manufacturing, shipbuilding, engineering products, construction, contracts, and infrastructure projects, etc. Last is information technology. What would be the answer, everyone? This is a very interesting question. In terms of contract costing, it is not into the area of retail. It's not there in the manufacturing as well. In manufacturing, we have multiple components being produced one particular point of time, and there are other methods as well which are used. Process costing can be used, then job costing can be used. So contract is not the one in terms of manufacturing. But yes, I can prepare it for a specific area, na? So I think I would go with shipbuilding, engineering projects, then construction contracts and infrastructure projects. The answer here is C. Done? Now let's move on towards the next question. Actually, everyone, the sale is going on. If you haven't purchased our courses yet, then kindly go ahead. They are available right now. And you should be looking forward to it as early as possible, as time is taking away. Everybody, what distinguishes contract costing from job costing based on the location of the work execution? Job is usually carried out by the contractor's workplace. Then in terms of job, this is very very normal that the contract costing would involve one particular thing, that is the job would be carried out by uh, the person at the site, wherever we are building it up. So job is usually carried at the contractor's place. This is true. Usually contractors usually carried out at the contractor's workplace. ये वो same ही बात है. Contract is actually done, job is not. Work is carried out at different sites in terms of for a contract, unlike job. For job you actually bring it to the organization so that it becomes easier for you to work, isn't it? Work is carried out at the same site for both the contract and the job. Done. So in this case of translates, workplace is usually carried out at a different site different from that of contractor's workplace for the contract. It is not based upon their workplace. So the 24/7, my name is Niharika Bhatnagar and I'm with you with the area of AFM, and we were talking about cost accounting. Na? So then we were talking about costing methods. In costing, we have different kinds of methods. The methods varies from when we are working on production, when we are working on service, whether we are working towards producing a thing for the life of that particular asset, or we are just producing new things every now and then. For example, if I produce toys, then obviously I would produce okay, if I'm making a car, then probably then I'll make a pink car as well as a blue car, because what would I do? I would like to sell it based upon the gender, right? That means for the girls there would be the pink car, for the boys there would be the blue car. So technically, when I'm trying to sell that particular toy, I would keep all these things in mind, right? So here comes the module D. The kind of costing that is used in this specific type is called batch costing. And the other type is called, number one is batch costing, second one is after batch costing we have process costing, under which we undergo multiple things, that is called process costing, where we have process 1, process 2, process 3, process 4, and then the final good is ready. Then batch costing, process costing, next kind of costing is called unit costing, when one particular thing is being made and that is not even changed at all. For example, one of the best examples for this is cement. Cement factory, they don't really change, they're just making that particular thing, right? So when we were talking about it, first one is related to the area of job costing, batch costing. Job costing is also left. This one is called job costing, where we are talking about a specific customized job. Unit costing is when we are making one particular thing for life. For example, cement. For example, sugar. Right? So once we're done with this, what else is left? Job costing is where we are doing something, some kind of costing which is totally specialized towards one particular thing. For example, making of the red chair, that is basically part of job costing, right? Okay, now there's one particular related to the construction, which is contract costing. So these are all the different kinds of costing which are used in different productions. Based upon this, today we are going to talk about, I think, multiple of all these kind of costing. What is the primary purpose of contract costing? To maximize the profits, to minimize costs, to separate a certain costs of each contract, or allocate overheads efficiently. What's going to be the answer, everyone? What is the primary purpose of contract costing? When we talk about the contract costing is exclusively related to one thing, that is long-term construction-based contracts. For example, building a house, building a bridge, building a freeway, highway, all those things are covered in this. So when we talk about this scenario, to separately a certain cost of each contract, we do this. Because if I'm a contractor, then at one point of time, I might be involved in making a building, along with, number one is building, number two, I might be involved in, first is building, second is I might be involved in making something else as well. One can be building, second can be at one point side making a building, at the other side we might be making a bridge, and we might be making a highway, right? Or we might be making a toll tax, toll for the taxation collection. All those things can be done at the same time. No? There are multiple things that we can take up, so that is covered in this area. What type of contract is suitable when the exact cost cannot be estimated at the start of the work? Sometimes we just cannot find out what would be the cost of it, so that we cannot quote the price, because if I quote the price to you already, and then I would be stuck because I cannot charge even a single penny more than that. So how do we deal with this? Fixed price? No. This fixed price is definitely going to cost me a major problem. This can cause losses. Cost plus, it can cause cost plus contract can, this can be helpful though, because in this case, you will say whatever the cost would be, just add 10% to it or 20% to it. That would be the portion of my profit. You pay this and this is my profit. That is something you have to pay again. But again, this part is something which is compulsory and this part is optional. Actually, this part is for the cost, which you in any case have to pay. This part can be negotiable and I can increase or decrease my profit based upon the negotiations I have with the person. Time and material, the next part, and the lump sum. The correct answer is cost plus. Lump sum means giving all the money at once. If you're giving all the money at once, do you really have an option? Nope, you won't. That's one of the areas where we talk about this. Contract costing is not something which is very difficult to understand. Rather, it is beautifully explained when it comes to the entire area. In contract costing, what is the primary purpose of the retention money or security deposit held by the customer? Acha, everyone, do you think whenever we hire some laborers to do our task, then we would just give the entire money to them at once? Well, this is what I've always seen, that whenever laborers are working now, we give them money on the basis of the work they're doing every day. Either on the basis of the everyday work or on the basis of the total work they're supposed to do. है ना? We just don't give the entire money in advance and then let them do the work later on. What will happen in this case? If we actually allow them to do the work as and how they want, there is a major risk involved. What is the major risk, everyone? Maybe they'll just take the money, but they won't work or give the particular quality. That's why we are going to always retain a part of the money, isn't it? So, in the contract costing, what is the primary purpose of retention money in terms of security deposits? To compensate the contractor for shortcomings, to maximize the customer's profit, to cover the um, contractor's overhead, or to encourage the contractor to finish quickly. This is based upon the area of execution. Whatever portion you will execute, only that part is something that we will check. Otherwise, we won't check all the things, because this will make our entire work wrong. Why? What if the work we have given to that particular person is not good at it? What will happen in that case? Then, if we give the money upfront for all the construction work, then that would cause us a major loss of funds. And that is not good, right? So, this is the point regarding the retention money. Retention means we do not pay the money, all the money upfront. We keep a little part of the money with us. How is the progress billing determined in contract costing? Who typically certifies the stage of the work completion based on contractor's estimate and certified with the customer, contractor, architect and engineer, then estimate as well as surveyor. Everybody, what's the answer according to you? Chaliye, then let's move on and look at the answer. The correct answer to this question is the contractor's estimate and certified by the customer. Obviously, the contractor will give us the estimate that this is the part of work which is done, and the certification would be done by the customer first. Okay, this part is done, this part is still left. How is profit on incomplete contracts calculated, and why is it necessary to recognize it during contract execution? Profit to date, or cost of work divided by total estimated work contract into estimated contract profit to avoid disputes with customers, total estimated profit cost divided by the cost of work into the estimated work contract profit to maximize the profits, profit to date, total cost divided by estimated divided by cost of work completed to comply with the accounting principles. What's going to be the answer? The correct answer to this question is profit to date. How do we calculate your profit till date? It is based upon the work which is already done, okay, divided by total of contract cost, whatever would be the total, and we multiply it with the estimated contract profit. Whatever estimated profit we can make up, that is to be taken here. Done. Now comes the next question. How is the profit to date calculated on incomplete contracts? When we talk about incomplete contracts, total estimated contract divided by cost of work completed multiplied by estimated contract profit. Cost of work completed divided by total estimated cost contract, and estimated contract cost or cost of work completed, or total estimated contract profit. What's going to be the answer? How is the profit to date calculated on an incomplete contract? Okay, when we talk about an incomplete contract which is not fully done, and obviously we will not pay for the entire work, we would be paying only for the work which is actually done. The rule is, because if I give the entire money at once, probably the person will not do the work properly, which is very, very dangerous for us, because if he leaves the work in between, how will we handle the entire situation? है ना? It's obvious if we are into in the mid of completing our architectural work and all, someone has taken up that particular job, and if he leaves in between, who will take it up, and in how much time that work would be done, you know? So the answer is cost of work completed divided by total estimated contract cost multiplied by estimated contract profit. What is the characteristic feature of production process in process costing? Customization of products, non-continuous production, standard continuous production, or one-time production cycles. Characteristic feature of production process. Production process is basically the process which goes through multiple phases, and obviously always remember in terms of process, that is under process what happens is one particular thing when done it leaves for the next process, then goes for the next process, the process continues, you know. There we have a standard and continuous production. Whenever we have this, we are looking forward to this. For example, paper making, it happens in that particular scenario as well, isn't it? Okay, now comes the next question. What is the primary difference between weighted average cost and the standard cost in process costing? Weighted average cost involves assigning standard cost to the production units, or standard cost involves adding all costs and whether preceding or the current one. Weighted average cost use actual cost, while standard cost uses estimated cost. There is no difference between the terms, and they are same. When I say weighted average cost and standard cost, they are not the same. They're never the same, rather. When we talk about the standard costing is a totally different scenario. When we talk about the standard costing, what we are trying to do is we are having weighted average cost that use actual cost, while standard cost uses estimated cost. You know, the answer is actually C, because weight uses actual cost and then it puts a weight into it, and we give importance to multiple things now. Technically, that's why in this area we use actual, and while in terms of standard we set a standard, this should be done. If I tell you we should be meeting at 7:30, and that is a should, at what point of time it is feasible for you and me, that would be the actual thing. So weighted average cost uses actual costs, while standard cost uses estimated cost. When is the FIFO costing method typically used in process costing? When there is no standard costing system, when the cost changes from one process to another are very low, when there are ongoing and significant changes in product cost, and when there is no need for improvement in costing account accuracy. What's going to be the answer? FIFO is first in, first out. When is FIFO used? I believe when we have a particular I think we should be using it in terms of when there is no standard costing system is not definitely the answer. You have a specific system only, then you use FIFO. FIFO is first in, first out. Whatever comes first would be used first. Okay, so that is the first thing, and the cost changes from one process to another is very low. This can also not be the reason. The right answer should be this: when there are ongoing and significant changes, matlab there are major changes coming in that particular thing. That's why it is important that we note it down accordingly. Done? Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. What is the formula for the used to calculate the cost of one unit in production process after adjusting the normal cost? Cost of one unit is equal to total sales minus sales value of the scrap divided by the inputs, or total value, total cost divided by input units, total cost minus sale divided by input minus normal cost, or the last one. The correct answer in this question is C, everyone. C. Why C? Because everyone, in this case we have a certain amount of units which goes into normal loss. total cost minus scrap value. This is the actual cost that we are left, and from the input, total input that we have got, we remove the normal loss, the loss which is bound to happen. For example, if I am transferring petrol from one organization to one place to another, the petrol is highly volatile liquid, so it will evaporate in any case. That kind of thing will always happen. So that's the answer in this case. Hello everyone, welcome to Officer 24/7. My name is Niharika Bhatnagar and I'm with you with the area of AFM. What are we going to do today? We are moving towards the end of our series as we are now moving and approaching towards the module D, another chapter that is costing. Today we are talking about the area of standard costing. So when we talk about the standard costing, what do you mean by the term standard costing? Standard costing is a part where they have set a benchmark, and then you are trying to say कि अच्छा this is the benchmark, this is where we are standing. Array, there is a variance that is coming up, obviously, because nothing can go in your life as per plan. This doesn't really happen that way, don't we all have phase deviation in our plans in one or the other part of life. How can this happen that every time we plan something in terms of costing, it happens the same way? So we have a particular gap. What do we do about this? Let's talk about this. We have module D, which is termed as costing methods. What do we talk about costing methods then? There are different costing methods. Acha, we have actually moved on and we are talking about the standard costing today. So let's move on and understand the question. The first question says that which factors play a crucial role in optimizing the profit? Selling price and the production capacity, market forces and cost control, cost of product sold and the production capacity, or the sales volume and market absorption. Every organization is running towards the area of optimizing their profits, don't they? They want it to be produced. But one of the best thing is, if you want to increase your profit, you have to reduce your cost. Always remember, what's the particular formula? Remember, cost plus profit is equal to selling price. Sometimes you cannot touch this. Then what will you do? You will reduce the cost so that your profit increases. है ना? That's the only thing that you can do then. But accounts doesn't say that this should happen where the organization is compromising upon quality. Sochi, if I say, nee, you make this thing, but we can compromise on the quality. Will you try that? Will you try something on your own skin, on your body, or even our family members where the production is compromised? We would want, yeah, if I'm buying any product, it should be of the best quality. That means we would like to reduce the cost, but in a planned manner, rather than compromising on the quality, especially when the things are to be used by us as well. So technically, when the production should done, costing has clearly said that add the steady quality, reduce your cost. Do not compromise upon quality. This is where the costing is absolutely clear about. That if you really want to reduce the cost, then reduce cost by the ethical manners rather than the unethical ones. Done. What do we have now? What is the primary objective of cost control? Why do we do cost control, everyone? To determine the selling price, or maximizing the production capacities, optimizing the profits through efficient resource use, or market analysis and forecasting. Cost reduction means increase in profit. That means we always want to increase our profits. The basic reason behind the working of the organization is actually two only. If you have seen the financial management basics there, na, I told you in an organization there are 2 points. One is maximizing wealth of shareholders, And the second point is maximizing wealth of the shareholders. And the second point is maximization of profit. So we have profit and wealth maximization. Profit is for the organization, wealth is for the shareholders. But think about it, if we increase our profit, then automatically we increase our shareholders amount as well. If we are ethical, definitely. You know? So these are the two things. Costing also follows the same, right? Next point. What role does cost accounting play in optimizing the profits for business organization? Determines the selling price, influences market forces, collects records, analyzes relevant cost data, or maximizes the production capacities. What would they do? Cost accounting play a very important role. What it basically does is collects the data and then it tells you, कि पता है, this is where the cost has to be seen. This is where we can reduce the money. This is where we had extra costs which were beyond our control. If we review it only, then we'll be able to find it now. Correct? Next is, what is the difference between actual and standard cost, everyone? Actual cost is unknown, while standard cost is determined by the production. Standard costing is an estimate, while actual is after production. Actual cost is higher than the standard. This is shown as a variation. Standard cost is influenced by the market forces, while actual cost is not. So technically, when we talk about standard, it's an estimate, while actual is what we find out, right? The answer is B. Done. Why does a standard costing make delegation of authority and responsibility simpler? See, we set up a standard. We deliberately try to achieve those standards as well, don't we? It requires extensive paperwork? No. It eliminates the need for setting standards. It is actually setting standard. It provides a production a comparison between actual and estimated cost, or it is not involved in the delegation process. Delegation is whatever work I am doing, I'm giving to it to you or anybody else. But I share the non-core activities of my job, not the core. But when we do this, we give someone, allot someone the duty to compare between actual and estimated costs. Why is standard costing effective in controlling actual cost in an organization? It discourages corrective action. It provides untimely information about the variances, allows the workers to exceed their such standards. When management receives timely information about the variances at each cost center. When we talk about this part now, standard costing. Acha everyone, every time you go for a walk, I tell you 10,000 steps, 10,000 steps. If you were planning to go for 6, what will you do? You'll try to achieve the standard, even if it's a bit higher. When you can do 6,000, you'll be like, acha, I can do 10 as well. Isn't it? Basically, standard costing helps you to achieve the goals. Why? Because it puts you onto a situation where you are trying to achieve the particular goal, and when there is no reaching of the goal, then you try to mend that particular method. In this case, you are actually management receives timely information about variances at each other's cost. The management, whenever there's a variance, management wants complete disclosure. What happened? Why couldn't you do that part? If there's a variance, can the management help you towards getting the resources which will help you to get it right? All those things are covered here. Next, which type of standard is established in for long-term use and provides the base for comparison over time? Ideal, currently attainable standards, basics, or realistic? Actually, realistic should be the one which is basically something which is achievable. You know, it should be something that the organization can achieve at least. That is achieve. That is something I would say realistic. And when we talk about ideal standards, this is what, for example, you and I know that we should live with honesty. That's ideal. But can we live with honesty? If the organization does this, probably they will die in a day. Currently attainable standards. They're talking about the present situation, not the genuine ones. Regularly. Then what's left? Elimination method. The last is the basics. The basics doesn't change. For example, you should be honest. That is a basic. Where the organization has to be honest, where they have to play diplomatic, that's the point. Right? The answer is basic standards. Okay. Now let's move on and talk about the next point. What is the crucial factor of in the efficacy of standard costing system in relation with uh, the standard costing? Now, what are we doing? We have ignoring the benchmark. Then we have inaccuracy in estimating standard cost, or the next point is using basic standards only or correct estimation of standard cost. What's going to be the answer? When we talk about this area, what is the crucial factor? Crucial factor is that everyone, if I make an unrealistic standard, what will happen? Have you ever thought? If I put up an unrealistic standard, will you and I be able to achieve it? I barely doubt that. If there's a major problem coming up now, we cannot achieve that particular goal. You know? The crucial factor in efficacy would be uh, the correct estimation. The estimation should be correct. Think about wrong plan can lead to wrong results. If we plan well, then we can have any agenda solved within no time, isn't it? What does the labor rate standard refer in standard costing? Time required for labor activities, wage rate for different grades of labor, efficiency of purchasing, or minimum wages for labor units. Labor rate standard, if I have to define labor rate standard, then the labor rate standard should be the wage rates, you know? If what are we paying and what they were exactly wanting, what was the standard that we wanted to put in, what exactly happens is something that we'll find in this area. So in this case, what's going to be the answer? You know the answer already. Wage rate from for different grades of labor. We have to decide it. And everyone, chali. Next point, what is the primary purpose of variance analysis? When we talk about the primary purpose of variance analysis in standard costing system, that is to ignore the actual performance. If we ignore the actual, how will we correct it? It's wrong. To ascertain the budgeted performance, to identify the cause of variance between actual cost and standard cost, or to avoid corrective actions. What is the primary purpose of variance analysis? Primary purpose is to actually find the variations and actually find the reason for the variations as well, not only the variations. Once you see a variation, you have to find it and we have to correct it to identify the cause of the variation between actual and standard costs. What is one of the factors to be considered while setting the standard rate and the index standard costing system? This is very good. Everyone, what is the particular things that we have to consider? See, if I have to make up a standard, if I don't take up the most important vital areas into consideration, how can I go correct? The variables have to be taken very clearly. Yeah? Consistent actual time taken for manufacturing one unit, uncontrollable factors beyond management control, past and future trends of the labor market, or accurate estimation of labor mix and standard costing. What is one of the factors to be considered while setting the standard wage? We would like to know what exactly is happening in the past before we are making the future. No? It's always important. The past is past and future trends. Always remember. Acha everyone, how can I decide that the particular person that I can see in front of me is efficient? One of the basic ways is to review how he had to work till now. If he has been going good, then why not? We will trust that particular person, don't we? But if he hasn't shown good kind of record in the last few years, then we would be putting a question mark on him, right? Okay, here comes the next question. It says, what does labor time or labor efficiency variance in the standard costing system indicate? Labor time or labor efficiency. Consistent actual time for manufacturing one unit. Changes in quality of finished goods compared to standard costing. Actual time being different from standard hours estimated, or following standard production procedures accurately. It's going to be the answer. What does the labor time or labor efficiency variance in standard costing system indicate? The labor time or labor efficiency would be related to the area of actual time being different from standard hours. Okay? The answer is actual time is different from that of standard hours estimated. If your standard time and actual time is varying, or your standard time is more than actual time, this is it being effective. You're taking lesser time than the limit that we thought of. But if it is the vice versa, then that's a situation which is bad for the organization. This means they are not able to work properly, right? Next point, what contributes to the labor time or efficiency variance or in a standard costing system? Consistent actual time taken for manufacturing one unit, following standard production procedures accurately, actual time being different from standard hours, mix or accurate estimation of skilled and unskilled labor mix. When we talk about what contributes to labor time or labor efficiency, in terms of labor time and labor efficiency, the best thing is to have actual time being different from standard hours and estimated. This is where we are talking about efficiency. How do we find the person is efficient? If it takes lesser time than what we anticipated, or at least takes the same time as anticipated, then he's going absolutely fine, right? Okay, next question. What is the one of the possible causes of material usage variance? Usage variance is just like everyone, if I'm making tea, do you know there's a specific consistency that would be used? Certain amount of water, certain amount of milk, a certain amount of um, the the tea leaves that we're using, or if you're using cinnamon, or if you're using um, the garlic, or sorry, if you're using ginger in it, then if you're using cardamom in it, all those things basic. Every family has a different way of making teas, but that simply means we all make it in a different way. Then what if I put a lot of ginger in it? What will happen? It will give a bitter taste. But what if I put a lot of sugar in it? It will be too sweet to have. Or um, if I boil it a lot, it will turn sour. You know, matlab, I have to find the perfect blend of tea if I want to make it. In the same case, if I'm making I'm into a bakery, I know what is the proportion of flour, icing sugar, and the other components that are to be used. If I use any of those wrongly, then what will happen? Something wrong will happen. The blunder will come up, right? The same thing happens in material usage. If I had planned to use more of material A, then we should be using more of material A. We should not be switching to material B all of a sudden. If the proposition is changed, probably the quality of the good will automatically change as well. You know? Then following standard procedures or inferior quality of material purchase or reduced wastage during manufacturing or consistent quality of finished goods. Everyone, the day your standard costing system says you are not working as per the MUV that you set, material usage variance, then you just cannot expect that it is just as per the standards. It becomes of inferior quality. That is why such things happen. You know? Okay. Done? Hello everyone, welcome to Officer of 24/7. My name is Niharika Bhatnagar and I'm with you with the area of AFM. Okay, we couldn't have the class yesterday, but what are we going to do today? Chaliye, let's discuss the particular area, everyone. First of all, when we talk about Module D, we started with the Module D. Module D has different kind of costing methods. Do you remember the different kinds of costing methods that we discussed? Job costing, customized work, है ना? Job costing is customized. Second point is job costing, contract costing. Contract costing is where we are looking into the contractual area. Job costing, contract costing. The next costing is process costing. I go through multiple processes. Then the next point, job costing, process costing, contract costing. The next point would be operation costing. Operating costing is for all the services, है ना, that is for nursing home and all. And job costing, contract costing, then batch costing. I prepare a specific batch that is called batch costing. Process is also done already. I think all the specific types are already covered. They are the main types. Another batch costing and also called unit costing. Unit costing is also different. Unit costing is, for example, I prepare salt. Same salt is prepared every single time. It just goes on and on and on and on. So this is unit costing. Batches, basically I prepare a lot. You know, blue toys, green toys, this toys, that toys, I keep on changing. These are different types of costing methods. So based upon this, here comes Acha. Okay, we had started with the specific topic of standard costing. I think I forgot to update the main page. This is standard costing. Okay, the questions are related to the area of standard costing. You'll be downloading the particular PDF now. I'll be updating it there. That's everyone. Standard costing. Standard costing is basically a specific type of costing which talks about what? It says that when you are working in an organization, there are certain standards which are set. It's obvious. Everyone, if you do not set a standard, what will happen? Without a specific standard, one of the basic problems that would arise is we will not have a benefit in terms of work. The problem is that you need to have a specific we need to have a specific clarity about what are the standards and how do we try to achieve it, isn't it? Till the time we do not really have this particular clarity, how will we work? Right? This is what could be the possible cause of labor time or efficiency variance. When we talk about labor time and efficiency variance, it says high quality material, and then the next point is related to the area of high quality material, then strict adherence to standard production procedures or introduction of new tools or machines or skill level matching standard costing experiences. Hanji, what would be the answer? Labor and time and efficiency. See, when we talk about labor time, we always plan more. We have lesser time defined, but we technically get more time to do things, isn't it? This is very, very normal in any organization, isn't it? Sometimes we have more timing for the things, but we need more time, but things doesn't really happen that way. This is related to labor, so high quality material has nothing to do with it. Strict adherence to strict standard production procedures. or introduction of new tools or skill level matching standard costing expectations. See, first is definitely not the point. The second point that would be more important would be introduction of new tools. You introduce a new tool, the training of it is obviously not done yet. The people would be very, very conscious about it, है ना? Isn't it? This would be a basic problem. Ki if I'm given a specific uh, tool and I don't know about it, what will happen? I will take more time. Actual time will be more than my standard time. This will be giving me a particular, that is, when we talk about efficiency variance or when we talk about the time variance, na, we have standard time minus actual time, and there we have standard rate. Okay, this is what we'll be choosing on to. Acha, which factor may contribute? This was the previous was the reason for the trouble. Now we're talking about labor time or efficiency variance. Superior quality of material used, non-standard working condition, perfect adherence to standard procedure, or skill level exceeding standard expectation. Labor time or efficiency variance. Why would things happen in a good way? Material has nothing to do with labor. है ना? Non-standard working conditions. That can be a problem, not a solution to it. Perfect adherence to standard procedures or skill level exceeding. Acha, basically skill level is the point. नहीं. Which factor may contribute? Acha, ठीक है. This is may contribute to the variance. This is a positive point. When you are doing this, there would never be a variance. And skill level exceeding experience will also be a positive situation. There would be only one negative because first one is all irrelevant and this one is a negative point. Okay, ठीक है ना? When we talk about the area of superior the non-standard working conditions, you don't have any standard. What will happen? The variances would be major. है ना? Next point, what is the variable overhead expenditure variance? Difference between actual variable overhead hours and budgeted, actual and budgeted overhead, or actual and budgeted fixed overhead, or when we talk about total variance and overhead cost. Variable overhead is linked with only and only variable, everyone. It is not linked with the fixed at all. So technically this is out. And this is also out. Now tell me, actual and budgeted hours and actual and overhead expenditure. The answer is clear. It is B. It's talking about what we had budgeted. Overheads are basically the expenditure which are not directly linked with the production, है ना? So then, मतलब overhead is over and above. So overhead expenditures are very important for any organization, right? If you don't do these organizations, you cannot produce properly. So what will you do? There would be a difference between actual and what you thought of, है ना? Done. Next point, what causes the variable overhead volume or variance? Efficiency variance. Variable overhead volume, matlab what we thought of the volume and it went over and above or less than that, है ना? That would be the point. Difference between variable overhead expenditure per hour, actual and budgeted fixed overheads. This is all about variable. This has nothing to do with the fixed. So probably this is the first point which I'll be definitely keeping out of the window. The next point is that actual and budgeted variable overhead hours. Last one is variation in material quality. The correct answer is difference between actual and budgeted overhead variable. Only the specific hours are what we thought we'll be requiring in terms of additional hours and what we don't require. Next point. What is benchmarking, everyone? Internal performance assessment, looking outside the business to assess performance, evaluating financial statements, or setting unrealistic standards. Benchmarking is basically setting up a standard. Benchmarking is ki, acha, it should take 10 hours, it should take 5 hours, it should take this much time, that much time. When we define should na, that is benchmarking. And this should be realistic. If I tell you कि नहीं, I think this can be achieved in a very small time, this will not happen. These things are not correct, right? Internal performance assessment is not the point. Looking outside the business, when we talk about the assessments, the goals have to be absolutely clear and flawless. Evaluating financial statements, nah. Then we have setting unrealistic standards. You do this part. Try and set up the standards which are unrealistic. I tell you ki, sir, ma'am, you should study for 12 hours a day. You'll be like, ma'am, we are technically left with 12 hours a day after we are done with our office work. Sometimes less than that. Then that includes, those 12 hours includes our sleep, our family time, and our resting time as well. We are not machines. If we could go 24 hours, then probably things would have been very different. But human mind and body says ki ho gaya mera aaj ka. That means unrealistic standards are just not the point. You cannot achieve them, and ultimately it will cause a lot of deviation. So internal performance assessment is the best point now. Because rest, I think I am like, the rest points aren't really fitting in. Looking outside the business to assess the performance, nahi, it has to be internal performance assessment. We are actually putting up a benchmarking is not nothing related to this. I think we have to rephrase the question. I'll rephrase this part, everyone. Okay, so I think let's leave out this question because you don't look outside a business to assess the performance. Acha, why is it important to study the technical and operational aspects of manufacturing process during during benchmarking? To set unrealistic standards, to compare with industry benchmarks, to hide inefficiencies, or to avoid industry practices. Always remember, benchmarking plays an important role. If I said ki normally you should give 2 hours, and this is what you think ki nahi, this can always be achievable, na? 2 hours, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening can be definitely adjusted. Despite the fact you have a family, despite the fact you have work, I've seen, I think I'd seen both men and women. They have children as well. They are taking care of their family, and yet they are studying. I've seen exceptionally hardworking women. They're like, I am preparing food right now. We are making dinner, and right now I'm also taking the class. Sometimes there had been women who are taking care of their kids, 1.5 year old child, and they're saying, ma'am, we are studying, but my kid is crying right now. I might have to leave the class. So, what is happening in that case? Those people are also studying now. So, in this case, what are they doing? When you are comparing, when we talk about the men, they are traveling. Matlab, people leave. I have seen my bankers going for the office at 8, or they're leaving their places at 8. From 8 to 9, if I have a class with them, or before that, then they are taking the classes or watching the recordings during their travel time. What are those? Are they setting unrealistic standards? No. To compare industry benchmarks, this is what I can say ki, to clear JIB or to clear CIB, this much amount of time is definitely required. That is what we can say now. To compare with industry benchmarks, you can compare yourself with the person who's in the banking area. If you try to compare it with the student, he'll be definitely outsmarting you because he has the entire day with him. He can cry, he can do his work, and then yet he would be having, if a kid is studying, if he studies for 4 hours a day, he still has the entire day with him. You and I, if we have given 4 hours to our studies, then that means probably if we would have left any kind of the household task or the basic course that we were supposed to finish off, isn't it? We take out that time that way. So these are practical things. Anyway, let's go on to the next point. Okay. What is the primary purpose for reporting the management? Concealing inefficiencies. We do not report to hide things. है ना? If we try to hide the things, then that won't work. Why do we tell everything, everyone? The point is so that the organization cannot face any problem. Simple problem, simple solution. Concealing inefficiencies, identifying areas of concern, delaying corrective action, or hiding favorable variances. Favorable variances are highlighted, they are never hidden. When you are going good somewhere, na, you are gonna tell people ki, देखिए, I'm good at it. है ना? So we are not concealing something. And the answer would be identifying the areas of concern. The moment you find a deviation, you're going to work upon it. What is the consideration for effective reporting of variances? Providing too many details in the report, delaying the reporting process, keeping the report prompt and highlighting main details, or concealing variances from the management. What's going to be the answer according to you, everyone? Okay. What is the consideration for of effective reporting? Why do we report? Matlab, considerations are basically you are not going to delay the report. You cannot provide too much details, but you have to keep the report crisp, and at the same time you have to highlight the main details, because if the main details aren't highlighted, then there would be too much confusion in it. Next point, what should be the variance of each cost center be correctly separated in the report? To hide inefficiencies, to mislead the management, to delay corrective action, or to ensure accurate analysis and reporting. Everyone, variances of each cost center be correctly separated in the report. It has to be specified so that there can be proper reporting. We have to highlight the things. Till the time we really don't ensure that the things are highlighted properly, how will we find things? है ना? What is the primary purpose of variance analysis in a standard costing system? Primary purpose of variance. The primary purpose of variance is only one thing: to ignore actual performance, to ascertain the budget performance, to identify the cause and variance. When we talk about standard costing, variance system was started because सोचा था क्या और क्या हो गया. That means what we thought of as a standard and how did we actually perform. Standard and our actual. We compare these things. That's how we find the deviation. So then correct answer is C, actual cost and the standard cost. What does the standard cost of a product or a service represent? Historical, expected cost, variable cost, or actual? We are just looking at standards are basically something which is anticipated. Okay? Always remember, this is what we are expecting that would happen. Isn't it? There is no final key. This is the amount that will happen and we are not flexible about it. It's a stupidity. Things will vary, things will change, and they can definitely have a lot of impact over other things. Danji, next point. What does the labor time or labor efficiency variance in the standard costing system indicate? Labor efficiency and labor time. Standard time and actual time. If I thought of a specific time to be taken and it takes a lesser time, then it's good. I'm being more efficient. But if I'm taking more time, then I'm not being efficient. If there's no variance, it went perfect. The execution happened in the perfect way. Consistent actual time for manufacturing 1 unit. Changes in quality of finished goods compared to the standard costing. Actual time being different from the standards or following standard production procedure accurately. The correct answer is actual time being different from the standard estimated. Normally this happens that the standard time and actual time are just not falling in place. है ना? Next point. What contributes to labor time or labor efficiency, everyone? Labor time or labor efficiency in a standard costing. So this is a kind of similar question that we have already done, but these are just different points. Consistent actual time for manufacturing 1 unit following standard production procedure accurately. Actual time being different from the standard hours, or accurate estimation, skilled and unskilled labor mix. The answer would be actual time being different from standard. Similar question, similar answer. Which one of the following is related to material usage variance? Usage variance is just like similar to the system that we did. If I am baking a cake and while baking the cake, if the icing sugar is more, the cake will not be the same. If I add too much of choco chips, it won't be the same. So basically, material usage is basically when whatever raw material you are using, what's the ratio of it? If it is going to be used 1:2:1, 1 unit of A, 1 unit of C, but 2 units of B. When we are using this thing, then this would be the answer. Following standard production procedure, inferior quality of material purchase, reduced wastage during manufacturing, consistent quality of finished goods. Hanji. Material usage is basically when we change that particular point. Following, we are not following this procedure. We are not even reducing the wastage. Inferior quality of material. If we basically purchase one of the material which is inferior, then we would be compensating with others. Okay? That will cause the problem, and this is one particular thing where the particular product will change. And once we lose our standardization, this is where we lose our respect in the market as well. This happens, for example, when matlab Maggie faced a very major problem because it was said it was above the lead was above the standard, and that was not good for the body and XYZ. It lost its entire market within no time, you know. So if your mix of anything in the raw material changes, or people find a deviation from the standards which were set, then this can definitely bring a lot of negativity for the organization. Acha everyone, before we end this particular class, have you reviewed the particular sale? If you haven't, then why not? It is very, very important to go ahead and buy the Mahapack right away. Why? Because double validity is going on. Buy Mahapack. Why I am saying this? You're getting it for 24 months. You just have to click on the area of buy now. Currently, you can see it is at 12,073. Use the code Y541. Okay, as soon as I click on the value of Y541, I applied it. Look at this. I get for 11,023 rupees. Technically, just look at this fact that you will get for 11,000, but for 24 months. That means you don't even have to pay single penny for JIB, single penny for CIIB. All the money that you will be paying in advance, this is going to help you over the 2 months. Technically, it's for 24 months, right? If I look at the particular calculation, it is 24 months, and you just have to pay almost negligible amount for that, isn't it? What you need to do is you will have to pay 11,023 divided by 24 months. Per month is 459. You know, it's hardly 460 rupees per month. So go ahead and check it out on our website and our app for further details. Under this, you will get both bilingual as well as English medium. You will get the entire test series, ebooks, the videos, everything is available. So go ahead and check it out right away.